after understanding the meaning of planning, importance of planning, limitations of planning, we get to the next stage that is called as steps or process in planning. In steps or process in planning, we will be able to know how the planning process happens, what are the stages therein, or what are the steps therein, so that every organization, when they are planning, you can understand what are the different levels or stages. Every planning has to pass through these different stages. Then only the success rate of planning will be much better. If it is not passed through all these processes or stages or steps, then planning may not be proper. The various steps in planning goes one by one like this. The first one is about identifying the problems or the opportunities. This is the very important stage, the first stage, wherein every business will have a problem or an opportunity. It may be problems also, it may be opportunities also. For example, the opportunities are like exporting the goods to the other countries, or introducing a new product to the existing products, or adding a new product to the existing product line, or thinking about hiring new experts for the various positions in the organization. So like this, there are many opportunities that is going to be always found in the organization. Similarly, there will be many problems that is faced by the business on a regular basis. The problems may go like this. The problem may be connected to the customers, the change in customers' preference, the change in customer style, change in customer consumption pattern, their preferences and the money they are spending, or it may be connected to the market problems wherein more competitors are entering, the new strategies or government policies, government regulations, government controls or economy change. So like this, there are many problems that is faced by the organization. Then after identifying there is a problem or there is an opportunity, then how to overcome that? Every business has to think about how to overcome the problems. That is, how to solve the problems. Then, if there is an opportunity, then it has to be captured, it has to be taken into consideration, it has to be grabbed. Then only the business can be successful. Even problems are there, it has to be solved, then only the business will go on very well. It will grow better, more profits will come, the business can continue for a long duration. For that, they have to go for the next step called as setting up objectives or goals. What happens here is, after identifying a particular problem, how to solve a problem, or after finding out the opportunity, how to grab the opportunity. That is going to be defined very clearly in the second stage called as setting up the objectives or goals. Here what happens, the goal will be set or an objective will be set, then everybody in the organization, every department in the organization has to work towards that. For example, say the organization is thinking about exporting the goods. So objective is how much to be exported, when to be exported, which country it has to be exported. Like that, objective has to be set or goal has to be set. The objective has to be very clear, measurable. It should be able to find out what is the quantity, when, what is the period. It has to be very clearly mentioned. If the objectives are not clear, if the objectives are not measurable, the objectives are not planned in a particular duration, it cannot be called as objectives. and not only the objective in general for the entire organization, and it has to be cut down into various departments, various persons, then only clearly understood by everyone and the organizational objectives can be achieved. So setting of objectives is going to be the second important stage, and everybody in the organization work towards the objective in the coming future is going to be happening. The next stage is about collection of data or information, and it is going to be not only collection of data and also analysis of data. Here what happens? After setting up the objectives, it cannot be just go ahead like that. They have to go for collecting the data relating to the objective. This is what has to be achieved. For that, they have to start collecting the data from different sources, maybe from internal source, maybe from external source. Internal source may be like past records, or from the previous year records, or from outside similar organization competitors are doing, or from journals, or from magazines. So collect the data in a systematic manner connected to the problem. The problem, for example, as I told you, the goods has to be exported. For that data, what is needed? How to export the goods, what are all the rules, and when the goods can be exported, how much duration it takes to collect the clearance from the government, collect the order from the other country. Like that, they have to think about collection of data, and after collecting the data towards the objective from the internal as well as external, then they have to think about analysis of the data. Analysis of the data is going to be going through the data in depth and drawing the conclusion, drawing the interpretation in a shortest form. For example, as I told, it takes 15 days to clear the government rules and regulation. It is going to be 10 days to get the order and send the goods in another 15 days, total 25 days. Like that, it has to be ascertained that how much data has collected, how it has been analyzed. For analysis, what happens? Analysis cannot happen straight away like that. Analysis will happen with the help of experts, maybe statisticians, maybe economists. They will collect the data and analyze with the help of various statistical measures. Economists also may use statistics, and they may use mathematics. They may use operation research for analysis. Analysis has to happen, but it has to happen with the help of experts. With no experts, analysis may not be true, may not be proper. It cannot be dependable in the future. So it is very important, after collecting the data, it has to be analyzed by the expert. Even collection of data has to be done in a clear objective. It has to be done with the experts only. Otherwise, it is not going to be easy for analysis. So, it is about collection of data or information as well as analysis of data. After collecting the data, analyzing, what is to be done? Is developing planning premises, or we call it as assumptions. Planning premises is nothing but assumptions. All activities in the planning is based on assumption. Assumption in the sense what will be happening in the future, what is going to be the future effects, what is going to be the future problems, what may happen in the future. So assumptions like on the politics, on the economy, on the market, and it can be also analyzed in a different sense like internal, external assumptions as well as controllable assumptions or uncontrollable assumptions. For example, controllable assumptions, that is about capital structure of the organization, profitability of the organization, and about return on investment and the area skills connected to the employees and recruitment of employees, like that. Uncontrollable may be like which are beyond the control of the organization and it cannot be controlled by the organization at all. That is going to be like government policies about the changes in the politics, changes in the technology, all those. So in the light of various assumptions, the business has to go for setting the objectives, collection of data, and go further for developing the premises. It is going to be the one going to be very important. If assumptions go wrong, it will go wrong further. Okay, after developing planning premises and assumptions, the next stage will be identification of alternative course of plan, or we can call it also as alternative course of action. Here what happens, that is, after making the assumptions that they had to go for what are the various alternatives available for the organization to come out with the various objectives. For that purpose, they have to check about what are the different alternatives to solve a problem or to grab an opportunity. Every problem will have multiple solutions. Every opportunity will have different alternatives. But the business has to think about that which are they. They have to identify. Identification is very important. Not that it is existing or not existing. It will be always existing, that alternative course of action. Every problem has multiple solutions. But here, business has to clearly lay down which are the alternative course of action. For example, say they had to go for production. Which product to be produced? Which product has to produce? What is the quantity therein? And if they are having different products, like 4 products are there, 5 products are there, which product has to be produced? Like that. If you are thinking about passing an exam, how to pass an exam, there are different ways. One is studying on your own, or thinking about going for tuitions, and thinking about discussion with friends, or be attentive in the class. Like that, there are different actions or different plans available for every problem that is there for you as well as the business. That is going to be called as identification of alternative course of action. After listing out various action plans or course of plan, we have to go for the next stage, that is called as evaluation of alternative course of plan or action. Let us try to understand what is the meaning of evaluation. Evaluation means trying to write down the positives or negatives about every plan of action. Every plan of action will have some negatives, that is disadvantages, will have positives, that is advantages. And if they have 5 plans, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for each one of it they have to have the positives and negatives, and it has to be listed out. Once they list out plan 1, what are the positives, advantages, what are the negatives, disadvantages, that is going to be called as evaluation of alternative course or alternative plan. Once they list out only, they can go for the next step. If they don't evaluate, it is not so easy for the concerns or the organization to go for the next step. So evaluation takes a lot of time, lot of energy, lot of cost. It cannot happen overnight, it cannot happen in a minute, it cannot happen in an hour. First they have to think about identification, collection of data, and in the light of that they have to think about the positives and negatives. Again, for this, the expertise of manager plays a very important role. Expertise in the sense, the past experience, knowledge, and future oriented thinking ability of the manager. Prediction is the most important thing, and based on that the evaluation will be done. After listing out all this, the next stage is selection. Selection of best course of action. They have here 5 alternatives. Each one has plus and minus. Among this, which is the most good one, that is having more positives, less cost, more profitability, or it is going to be the less risky, more profitable for the business, that has to be selected. Suppose say the third plan is the best, third alternative is the best, that is going to be called as selection of best course of action. If that is proper, then only the plans will be successful. If this evaluation goes wrong, selection also goes wrong. So deciding here not only which is the best plan, along with that they also have to plan about the planning period. Planning period in the sense, this plan has to be worked out in 6 months, 3 months or 1 year. It has to be clearly understood before selection, because after selecting it will be going for the next stage, that is actual working. We can call it as implementation of plan. Once the third plan selected in the example like that, it will be implemented, that is brought into action. Action means it will be informed from the top level management to everyone, that is the second stage, the different managers. Then they are going to prepare various policies, procedures, methods, strategies to implement the plan. And plan has to come from the top level to the bottom level, that is implementation of plan. It takes again time, it takes again action of each and every person involved in the organization. So implementation of plan goes step by step again with the help of various types of plans, which will be discussed in the coming topic. The next one is follow up of plan implemented. Is the last step in the process of planning or steps in planning. Just implementation is not sufficient. If it is implemented, it has to be checked, that is whether the plan is working properly or not. That is going to be called as follow up of the plan that has been implemented. Is it require any change? Is it require any alteration? Is it going on as planned? It has to be checked quite regularly, maybe weekly, fortnightly, monthly, bi-monthly, whatever, it has to be checked. The checking is going to be called as follow-up of plan implemented. It is done by the supervisors, done by the managers through collection of various reports, various records from the subordinates. Once they collect only, they will understand the plans are happening in a proper manner on a regular basis, regular interval, that is 15 days once, 1 monthly once, like that. That is going to be called as follow-up plan implemented. If it is not done, the steps in planning is not complete. Once it is done only, the steps will be completed. So in this, you have totally 9 different steps, starting from identification, and last one is follow-up of the plan.